drop a like and do share. Leave your comments and do not forget to subscribe for more videos.
What's up guys? This is Manoj Uptani. I welcome you all on behalf of the Edipedia world. Fasten up your seatbelts, we're about to take off with the first topic, and that will be short note on the effect of breach of duty and negligence. Number 1, care and skill. So this is something which is expected out of each and every auditor who has actually obtained the degree, the professional degree, that certificate from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, that they'll be taking due care and with their complete skill they'll be delivering their tasks. So the auditor is expected to possess a certain amount of knowledge and experience. He or she must exercise a reasonable degree of care and skill for the performance of their duties. And if in case there is any kind of default or failure in the conduct of an audit or in carrying out any of the engagement which is judged by the professional standards, then in that case the person responsible will be guilty of negligence. So this is something which is extremely important. If in case you have been appointed as an auditor and you have got the certification from the Institute of Chartered Accountants in India, you need to duly take care of that care and that skill which is required to deliver your duties well on time, and that too accurately as per the standards. So you need to fulfill that. Number 2 is auditing principles. So the auditor is considered as an expert. We all know that. Okay, auditor is basically an expert in their own set, and certainly the kind of knowledge and the kind of things, the suggestions that they'll be providing to their client is extremely, I must say, priceless in a way, because that is going to build up a great thing for their organization where they are providing their auditing services. So the auditor is considered as an expert, skilled in the techniques of accounting and auditing. It is expected that he or she would be in possession of certain standards of knowledge and experience. He or she must also exercise the same degree of prudence, skill and care as any other professional person in those similar circumstances would be expected to do so. So you need to follow all those auditing principles while you discharge your duties well on time, and that too in totality, completely. Perfect. Next is your cases. The cases which arouse suspicion. Okay, we all are aware of this fact that we, being the auditors, we need to understand this importance of suspicion, because that's something which is extremely revolving around our respective lives day in day out. Okay, we have been auditing for a while now. Each time we suspect something wrong happening with any of the organization, that professional judgment, that professional skepticism, that questioning mind comes into the picture, and that arouses suspicion. So you need to be aware of those cases. So the auditor is not expected to be a detective. Believe me, I'm not saying that. The auditor is just not expected to be a detective, nor is he required to approach his work with a suspicious or preconceived notion that there is something wrong all the way. No. He or she is a watchdog, okay, but not a bloodhound. There is a difference between the two. You need to be aware. You need to be awake, okay. If something is going wrong, you need to be aware of that. But you don't need to be all the way like bloodhound. Okay, something is going wrong, all the way wrong. No. Absolutely not. You just need to keep your mind open in that case. However, if there is anything that has excited your suspicion, okay, then you should go deep into the matter. Otherwise, you are just required to be reasonably cautious or careful. That's it. So you need to be aware of that. Okay, keep your eyes open while you audit some stuff. There are n number of frauds going on in many of the companies. All you need to do is you need to discharge your duties as an auditor well on time and with complete totality. That's it. That's the only thing which you're going to do. You need to be cautious. You need to be careful. You need to discharge your duties with all the care and skill. That's it. So these are the 3 things which are going to affect the breach of duty and negligence. Your care and skill, the kind of principles that you'll be applying, and what's your questioning mind whenever you audit. So you need to take into account all those cases very responsibly. Perfect, guys. Shall we proceed further? Let's go with the last topic of this presentation, and that will be, to what extent is an auditor liable to third parties for his negligence? Supposedly you have already made some of the negligence, okay, and which has resulted in some kind of damage or loss to that person. So to what extent you as an auditor are responsible to third parties for your negligence? Let's understand them in particular aspects. Number 1, damage. Number 2, specific benefit. Number 3, auditor's knowledge. And number 4, measure of damages. So guys, the liability of we as auditors, the chartered accountants, to third parties should be restricted. Okay, we all are aware of this fact that though we did commit some kind of mistakes, however, that liability should be restricted within some that practical foundations. Okay, that bounds which are depending on the factors like damage, specific benefit, auditor's knowledge, and measure of damages. By damage, I simply mean that the liability of the negligent kind of misrepresentations that arise only where there is some kind of physical injury or damage of the results. Then this is going to be limited. Okay, this limits the number of parties and ensures that the injury is foreseeable. So a negligent, though honest kind of misrepresentation which causes the financial loss or any other loss to the client in many of the circumstances, this basically gives rise to the action for damages at a suit of any of the person to whom no contract exists. So the liability in that particular case should be limited to the damage which has actually been occurred to the direct client. But if I'm talking about the liability towards the third party, so if it's been proved completely that by your mistake, by your misrepresentation, some kind of damage or loss has been happened to the third parties, which is being decided by the law. Okay, the court is going to decide that if in case you file the suit, that will be limited to the kind of damage. If in case the court feels that yes, damage reimbursement should be made to the third party, so that will be only up to that. Next comes the specific benefit. So the liability in case of specific benefit arises only when the representation is for the primary benefit of the third party. The auditor is basically responsible to all those persons for negligence who have relied on the financial statements audited by him or her, which is incorrect. If he or she knows or ought to have known, I simply mean if you are already aware of it, it's good. Or I should say you ought to have known that fact that it has been prepared for a particular person or a class of persons, or that may have been relieved on by the person or a class of persons in that particular connection. So in that particular case, it will be depending on that specific benefit. If in case our opinion has disturbed some of the persons or their impact on their mindset, that's going to be the specific benefit in that particular case. Next comes the auditor's knowledge. So if I'll talk about the auditor's knowledge, then the liability will be restricted only to the classes of persons who the auditor knows will rely on his or her reports for the type of transaction resulting in a loss. A person who has possessed some of the special skill may, in that particular case, quite irrespective of the contract, be considered to have undertaken to apply that skill for assistance of another person, and thereby to have accepted a duty of care to that person. That's going to happen in case of auditor's knowledge, if I'll talk about. And finally, the measure of damages. So the statutory auditors of the company can be charged with misfeasance and may be asked to make good the kind of loss that has happened to the client. And in many of the cases, it's been seen that the earlier court decision usually been the auditors have been held liable for refund of their dividends improperly declared on the commissions improperly paid on the faith of accounts audited by him. So you're supposed to pay back those damages to the persons if in case the loss has been suffered by the client companies as well. So you won't be saved in that case, guy, because you are an auditor. You are expected to discharge your duties well with complete care and diligence. With this, I have completed a few of the important topics relating to this liability of auditors. For the next topics, do watch one of my forthcoming videos wherein you'll get to see the remaining topics with relation to the liabilities of auditors. Perfect, guys. With this, I'll conclude my video with a dose of motivation, and that will be the habit of persistence is the habit of victory. Herbert Kaufman was the person who mentioned this beautiful quote. So all you need to do in your life is just keep making your persistent efforts all the time. Because if in case you are making those efforts all the time, then you are allowing yourself to be in a habit of being victorious all the time. Do take efforts, because that is something which is extremely important for you. Do keep taking actions, and that's how you'll reach to your destiny. Perfect, guys. With this, I'll say thank you on behalf of the Edipedia world. Keep interacting by your questions, queries in YouTube comment boxes. I will love to answer each one of your queries and grievances. If in case you have liked our video, do give us a thumbs up. Stay connected. That will help us in understanding your needs way better, guys. Thank you. Take care. Bye. Sayonara. I'll see you in the next presentation with a lot more exciting topics. Bye.